stick to the cooling bit for the moment. So there's the radiator. That's 3-inch width. The cowling, which you may have seen me painting in the last video, just a bit of black. It's had to have a bit of adaptation done. I've had to smash this area down a little bit flatter to get the hose to push on. So the position of this top hose thing was a little bit of a clash, and I've had to just trim out a little bit of this upstand on the cowling. I've also had to trim out round there where the clutch, the end of the clutch clevis is, because that was clashing, but then the clutch cable bends away and gets out the way there. I did think I did take a photo of how I mounted the cowling onto the gearbox. The gearbox casing down there is actually the engine is actually tilting back. It's difficult to see, you wouldn't think that by looking at it, but there is, the engine does slope backwards. It's not vertical. You can just about see it sort of tilting back. You could probably see it more underneath. I won't show you, but it is tilting back. So this is the setup on the hoses. So I think from memory you've got, was that 28 mil? I will check it out. And this one fits on there like that. So thermostat housing here on the engine comes round on a 135 degree bend from memory. Then we've got this reducer down to 28 mil, I think. Another 135 bend. All this stuff is available from that Car Building Solutions. There's a straight connector in there, again from the same place. So that's the top hose connection with these kind of cloth covered options you can get on these hoses. So that looks quite neat and tidy. And then the bottom hose comes off here. It's kind of, well, 135 degree bend, comes round into another, you see it, into this other straight connector. And then what I've done is I've used a traditional, if I can move that out of the way, I've used a traditional mini bottom hose there. Hang on, let me get a torch. Let me shine some light on the subject. Excuse me if I'm stumbling over my words, because I'm fucking freezing. So yeah, traditional mini bottom hose coming up there with the bypass there. And what I've done is I've used the top of the mini hose and I've connected that into one of the heater matrix routes. So up at the top of the mini hose there, stand that up, bottom hose on the mini comes up 90 degree bend and then through into one of those little bulkhead plates there. I think I showed you one just in that box over there. And then coming out for the other end of the heater matrix is the 90-degree bend into a little plastic kind of straight connector and then through to the other side. The only issue I've got now is that tuck down at the back of the engine coming off this pipe is going to be a redundant outlet, which I'll just show you on this other engine I've got here, just to show you what I mean. You can see it there on the back of this other engine, just coming off the back of the water pump. This pipe here I'm just going to cap off. I'll probably trim back and cap it off with a 19mm stop, rubber stop thing, and clip it off. I shouldn't need that because I'll have a constant circulation through the heater matrix. One thing you've got to watch on these 1.4 Micra engines is there's two different types of pipe arrangement. Just coming back onto the one I've got in the car, this one is the newer arrangement. On more current engines, where the heater matrix in the Micra had a constant flow through it, meaning that water always went through the heater matrix within the cabin of the Micra. There was nothing stopping this circulation of the water going round. But I believe this engine over here can get to it, has got a slightly different setup. We've got an extra outlet here. If you look at these two pipes, we've only got one on that other engine, and I believe that was due to the fact that in the cars fitted with this engine, with this extra pipe, the heater in the cabin, basically you could shut off the coolant flow, which meant that you cut off the circulation. So there's this extra pipe here. Well, this is what I'm thinking anyway. This extra pipe here was when the heater was shut off and you stopped the coolant flow, you had this other option, well, the engine had this other option to keep the coolant circulating around the system. But yeah, that's got two. The one over in the car's only got one, and that's to do with the fact I think the heaters must have been different in Nissan Micras. God, that was complicated. I don't know whether I explained that very well, but I think you get what I mean. So yeah, that's going to be the simplistic approach to hose arrangement. I'll try and do a drawing of that so you can see what goes on and what diameters all these little bits and pieces are. But I think what you can see there is I've not got much room left for a fan. I've got the top of the radiator restrained. It is onto the car body and not onto the engine, but I've got this kind of little rubber bobbin on there, so there is some flexibility, but there's not much space down there. So those two pipes go through the bulkhead. They come out the other side. Just there. And what I did was I modified the heater, because if you have a look on yours, or on a traditional mini heater, and the pipes come out the other side, right where your clutch foot is. So what I did, I drilled two new holes in the heater matrix, and from that car building solutions I replaced the matrix itself. You can see how shiny and new it is in there, but the one out of car building solutions is exactly the right size, and it's got these little dog legs on already on the outlet pipes, and it just lends itself to a little neat bit of pipework there in the passenger footwell, nicely tucked out the way. Yeah, so that heater's been reconditioned, bit of paint on it, new heater matrix, flipped it so the pipes work better, and I think that works quite well, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, I've been doing quite a bit. What else have I got to talk about? Well, I'm going to try and see if this fan fits, whether I can get it in there, whether there's enough space. I've been doing a bit on the alternator. That's the Daihatsu alternator, but you can see just how much this sticks through the grille. So I'm going to try and get the engine started with this slightly modified Nissan Micra exhaust manifold, but I think I'm going to need to go to a proper sort of 4-to-1 branch type thing, or 4-into-1 proper TIG welded manifold to try and stop this sticking through, because it just looks fucking agricultural. And then I've had to dogleg this little power post coming out of the alternator, because it was sticking straight out, which I'll put on a little photo just to try and give myself a little bit of breathing space, because I want to try and fit a Mark 1 grill on this if I can, because I've gone to all the trouble of de-lipping the bonnet. I mean, a Mark 2 grill there fits straight over that without any modifications. That Mark 2 grill there goes straight over, but as a Mark 2 sits on this face, a Mark 1 sits on that face. It's way back, and I don't think there's as much curvature on the grill either to give you that little bit extra space. So yeah, I've got some crafting to do. I've got to protect the electrics there as well, but it's all in. There's that drying plug on the radiator, you can get to it. There's that, if you can see that I've made a little bracket there to hold the cowling on. It's spaced up at the back because, like I say, the gearbox of the engine are tilting backwards, which I never really noticed that much before. Right, while my nose is running, there's that fan. I've only sort of temporarily fitted it in there with a couple of screws, but you can see it nestles in within that cowling quite well. There's only a couple of screws holding that in, but it's pretty rigid as it is. I'll probably make some kind of strap to run across the cowling, so these feet, the other 2 feet each side, I've got something to fix to, but I can do that once the thing's disassembled again. I can have a closer look. But I think that looks quite tidy in there. Little 7-inch fan tucked away. How often it's going to be on, I don't know, but yeah. looks quite good. So there we are. Hooray for car building solutions. Like I say, they're not sponsoring me, but I just think it's a good catalogue. It's one of these ones that you can read while you're on the toilet. But yeah, I feel like I'm getting somewhere bit by bit. What's going to happen next? What's next? Well, I've got to do the gear linkage. Now I've got this back up on its ramp, I can lift it up and get underneath and try and shorten the gear linkage rods to select the gears. What else have I got to do? Electrics. I'm not looking forward to that, but because that's going to make things look like a bowl of spaghetti. But we'll get there. I think that's it really. I think I've done enough. It's too cold to do anything else. So yeah, next video will be possibly the gear selectors, the remote rods and things I need to bugger around with, and electrics. So I'll catch you on the next video, and if you don't subscribe, please, all the numbers help. Just click the like button or the don't like it button. So take care, stay warm, stay safe, and catch you on the next video. Cheers guys and girls.